This PowerPoint presentation covers Capitalization Level 2, which is Chapter 19 of the Canadian Business English Text, 5th edition. Once again, there's nothing tricky to capitalization rules. It's just that there are so many of them and that you have to remember them. So unfortunately, this is one of those things you're going to have to commit to memorization. I think most people know that we capitalize courtesy titles when they precede names, such as Mr. and Ms. We can think of other personal titles that replace such courtesy titles, and if they precede the person's name, then we would also capitalize those. For example, in the first sentence here, the speaker is FAA President Maxime Leroy, then the word president is capitalized. The same thing for assistant director. It immediately precedes the person's name and is being used as a replacement for a courtesy title. Same thing for when you look at the words aunt and uncle, such as in Aunt Ruth and Uncle Ned. We do not capitalize personal titles that are followed by an appositive. An appositive explains or renames a previously mentioned noun or pronoun. So in the first example here, our general manager, Mr. Harrison, reported on income. Mr. Harrison is an appositive because it renames the previous noun, which was general manager. We also do not capitalize personal titles or office titles that follow the name. So remember, in the previous examples, we looked at titles that preceded the name. So in this example, we have invited Pedro Guzman, president of Guzman Enterprises, to address the opening session of the conference. The word president is not capitalized as it follows the person's name. So we've looked at titles that precede someone's name. We've looked at titles that come after someone's name. In this instance, if the title is replacing a person's name, it is not capitalized. So the president conferred with the chief accountant and the legal counsel. In all three examples, the title replaces the people's name and is not capitalized. We do, however, capitalize those titles that are by themselves if they are in addresses and closing lines. So you can see in the address here for Prof. Louis H. Darling, Dean of Engineering. Dean of Engineering is capitalized. Same thing in the second example. Purchasing agent is capitalized in the closing line. We also do not capitalize family titles that are used with possessive pronouns. In the example, my uncle and my aunt will visit us next week, the word my is a possessive pronoun, and therefore the word uncle and aunt are not capitalized. However, we do capitalize the title of close relatives when they are used without the pronouns. In the second example, let's drive out to Elora to see mother next week. Mother is capitalized. It is not used with any possessive pronoun at all. Now here's something that seems confusing and random. We capitalize nouns that are followed by numbers or letters, except in page, paragraph, line, and verse references. In the first example, we can see that the word room and the word building are both capitalized because those nouns are followed by numbers. In the second example, we can see that appendix is capitalized because it's followed by a letter, and volume is capitalized because it's followed by a number, but page is not capitalized because it's one of those exceptions that we just spoke about. In the final example, Flight 723, the noun is followed by a number and therefore is capitalized. We do capitalize points of the compass and their derivatives when they refer to specific regions. In the example, before you came to the West Coast, did you spend much time in the Maritimes? The West Coast is a specific region, and the Maritimes is also a specific region, and both are capitalized. Quebecers is obviously a region is capitalized, but in the second example, south to Florida, the word south is not capitalized. It is not a specific region. And the rest of the examples, if you have a read through them, are all specific regions that are capitalized. Here you can see several examples of names of departments, divisions, or committees that are within one's own organization, and these are capitalized. For example, our Health and Safety Committee is capitalized, and the Marketing Department is capitalized. The Workload Supervisory Committee is also capitalized. Note that these examples were for committees and so forth that were inside your organization. However, outside your organization, you capitalize only specific department, division, or committee names. So, for example, have you written to their employment division? Employment division would not be capitalized. In the second example, they've just struck a new Committee on Equal Opportunities. That one is capitalized. And in the third example, an investigation committee may be appointed. That is not a specific department, division, or committee. That one is not capitalized. Do not capitalize the words federal, government, national, provincial, or state unless they are part of a specific title. In the first example, the federal government has just passed the National Child Protection Act. The words federal government are not part of a specific title and are not capitalized. In the second example, the Ontario Minister of Education is currently drafting a new provincial colleges and universities mandate of responsibilities. The word provincial is capitalized because it is part of a specific title. Capitalize product names only when they represent trademarked items. Except in advertising, the common names following manufacturers' names are not capitalized. So in the example Coca-Cola drink, Coca-Cola is a trademark and is capitalized, but drink is just a common name that follows the manufacturer's name. So unless you work in advertising, it's not capitalized. Same for Big Mac hamburger. Big Mac is trademarked. The word Teflon is trademarked, and so forth. So you can see the following examples as well. Okay, the last rule of capitalization concerns literary titles. We capitalize the principal words in titles of books, magazines, newspapers, articles, and so forth. But we do not capitalize articles, conjunctions, and prepositions of fewer than 4 letters, unless they begin or end a title. In the first example, Gravity's Rainbow contains 2 principal words for the title of a book, and both are capitalized. In the second example, English as it is spoken, the preposition as is not capitalized. In the third example, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, same thing. The preposition to is not capitalized. And in the final example, the poem To His Coy Mistress, everything is capitalized. Because the preposition to begins the title, then it also has to be capitalized in this case. It's time for a check your skill. Both Father and Uncle Muhammad helped with the construction of the boat. What needs to be capitalized here? Both Father and Uncle need to be capitalized because neither of them begin with a possessive pronoun. The package return address was Diane Braggs, Director of Legal Services, Stolly Corporation, P.O. Box 993, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Here we have a title in an address that needs to be capitalized. We have a proper noun of Stolly Corporation that needs to be capitalized. And we have P.O. Box 993. Because these precede a number, those also need to be capitalized. Shirley Stevens, President of the Canadian Heart Association, addressed the conference first. The name of the association, Canadian Heart Association, needs to be capitalized. Our chief accountant, Karen Gerck, became the company president. This sentence is correct. The chief accountant is not being used as a title for Karen Gerck, and Karen Gerck is in a positive in this sentence. Unfortunately, with the time limit of 10 minutes per video, I have to stop here, so it's time to move on to some numbers rules.